Welcome to this week's episode. We have got a fantastic series of episodes for you all about how to make your videos more creative, which is going to make them more interesting and get people watching them.
I'm super excited about this, Sue. This is so great, and I think it's going to help you guys so much to know little tips and tricks from us, video production specialists, in terms of how you make your videos more creative. So it's actually going to be a series of videos, and we're going to start applying the favorite techniques to this series to make it more creative as well. So we'd love your feedback on that. Love to hear from you about what you liked, maybe what you didn't like so much as well.
So this is going to be pretty exciting. So today it could get a little bit goofy because we're going to be talking about camera angles, specialty shots, and what else are we going to talk about?
We're also going to be talking about camera movement. So these are a group of techniques that you can use either by briefing in your video production company or by directing, producing your own shoots yourself with professionals to get better results. So everything in this series is about helping you guys make better videos every time and improving in your professional career.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited because later in the episode we're going to talk about time lapses, and I think they are really fun and they can really make your work really, I don't know, they bring a real element to enhancing a film. So
what do you like so much about time lapses?
I don't know, I just think they're fun. Like I remember I worked on a shoot many years ago. It was a stop motion animation, and they stuck a time lapse camera in the studio for 8 months. Yeah. And at the end of 8 months, we discovered that some of the crew had been coming in the middle of the night and doing all these really weird poses and doing all this really strange stuff. So this time lapse at the end of 8 months was probably only about 10 minutes long, but it was incredibly funny and fun to look at. I don't know if it made the behind the scenes bloopers or not, but it was pretty good.
I think that's the thing that I like about time lapses as well, is that they work really well as standalone pieces of media. So you can actually break them out of your main film and just post them on Instagram, and it has a real interest value. We've even used time lapses in full width headers on our website. They're just this really nice dynamic element that has a visual interest factor.
So we kind of jumped right into specialty shots there.
Yeah.
So time lapse is a great specialty shot, but the other bit that we're going to talk about, maybe we'll come back to time lapses, is camera angles.
All right, so let's start off with camera angles. Why are camera angles even important? Well, if you're starting at the most basic level of, doing filmmaking, often it's one static camera. And in this scenario we're in, this is our one static wide camera, which basically gives you all the information. So we could be making this whole video with this camera we're looking at here. It contains both of us, and it's got the background and setting. But we don't want to stop there for a few reasons. Why don't we want to stop at just one camera as an overview?
Yeah, so this one's something that we've learnt along the way, is that when you've only got one camera and one camera angle, when you get into your edit, it's actually really hard. If you want to chop just a little bit out of a sentence because somebody's made a stumble or they've said or whatever it is, if you've got two angles, you can cut between them, and it's really easy to get really smooth cut points.
We had a client last week who went through their whole video series, and the person in it who spoke beautifully in an authentic way, but with lots of ums and with lots of so's right through the video. And they insisted that every one of those so's and ums be removed. Now, you can't do that easily with one camera. It's very tough because every time you remove an or a so, you got to put a shot in over the top to cover it over. Whereas if you go to this camera and this camera, every time you got a some or an o and you're cutting between them, you can go between the two angles and you're all set.
And that's a really good point, that being able to go between the two angles, because it's recommended for YouTube type videos specifically that you need to have a lot of movement to keep an audience really engaged in the film. And so if you can just change a camera angle or put in an edit point where the shot goes between, it might go between the two of us to a single shot to a double shot, whole way through, and it just adds a lot more dynamics to dynamic. Is that a word? It makes it more dynamic.
It makes it more dynamic. I think there's actually some consumer evaluation and research around this subject in terms of what best practice is in terms of how often you should be cutting between camera angles to keep it visually dynamic enough to keep your audience engaged. The last time I looked at that, it was somewhere around every 7 or 8 seconds there should be a cut, or more frequently. And then another technique that you use, and your camera angles help you with this, is having tempo, either consistent tempo through your video or variable tempo to give it highs and lows and range. So let's do a quick cut here. Okay, so we'll just have a bit of a chat and we'll ask TJ, our editor extraordinaire, to cut this together really quickly. So let's talk about camera angles. What types of different camera angles are there, Sue? You got a wide shot. You got a
mid shot.
You got a close up. You got a cutaway on the hands. You got a cutaway on the eyes. You got over the shoulder. You got a reverse over the shoulder. You know, high angle, low angle. You know, we can go on and on.
Pan, you can tilt.
So we'll cut that together in a faster tempo to show you what that looks like. And sometimes that fast tempo is also motivated by music. It's another good tip. You got a wide shot.
A mid shot.
You got a close up. Cutaway on the hands. You got a cutaway on the eyes. Over the shoulder. You got a reverse over the shoulder. High angle, low angle.
Pan, you can tilt.
Yeah, now we're getting into moving camera, which is our next subject. So I want to start off with this setup here in our studio and talk about a very common addition that you can get into, you know, a pretty stock standard kind of set like this, and that is the slider angle. And that means that there is your wide angle sliding just to give you a bit more dynamic movement in the shot. And we see this in Oprah and mini shows all the time.
Yeah, it's a really common technique. I mean, you know, they have huge dollies and all kinds of things on all the movie sets. You know, you see the huge cranes coming in doing all of those special movements. But even for an interview like this, we call this an interview, even for a shoot like this, you could use a slider. And it's actually pretty common, so it's quite an easy way to get a bit of dynamic movement into the shot. Okay,
so we'll give you a look at what that looks like now. So we've just quickly mocked this up now so you guys can see the configuration here. It's just kind of thrown together. Normally it would look a bit more professional than this, but we've got a moving camera now. So we've got camera movement in our wide shot. And this just means that you've got something that's a bit more visually dynamic that you can cut between. And, you know, this equipment is standard equipment for production teams. So this is something that you can easily ask for.
Yeah, and now that we've pointed it out in this video and we've shown you how it all works, you're going to start noticing it all over the place in TV commercials, in other people's videos, you know, it's a really common tool that's used.
Yeah, spot on. So what you're going to see next is a walk and talk. We call it a walk and talk with two presenters. And the first is going to be a static, and you're going to see what that looks like, and then we're going to compare it to a moving camera shot from in front and from behind. All right, so here we are. We've got our office behind us here.
Yep.
And this is a static shot of a walk and talk. So we're going to compare this to the moving camera option. What do you think, Sue?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to walk down the street. So this type of shot's a little more treacherous for your cameraman because he's got to walk backwards and not get hit by a car. So OH&S is more complicated.
Well, that's true, but it is possibly a more interesting shot, or at least provides more variety.
So let's talk a bit about some specialty shots, because specialty shots can really bring a lot to a video, and a lot of the specialty shots are actually really simple to achieve.
Yeah, look, so a specialty shot that we use all the time, which doubles as an establishing or location shot, is a drone shot. So we'll show you a couple of examples here. I mean, they're so beautiful and audiences love them, you know, and again, like time-lapse, you can use them as standalone content and well worth the effort. A lot of people know how to fly drones now, and you know, you put it up, doesn't take too long, and it's just a whole different perspective. So that's one that I would highly recommend.
And I think slow-mos as well. I think a slow motion shot can bring a lot of emotion to a shot. We used it in our recent film Conquering Cancer in giving context to one of the stories, a personal story. So it was a very emotional story, and it just sort of gave opportunity for the narration, and together with the music, it just really looked really beautiful.
And look, another one that we mentioned at the start of this episode, of course, is time lapses. So, you know, we talked about camera angles, camera movement, and now we're talking specialty shots. And those time lapses are a great shot. And you'll have seen the shot of the setup here today. It's another favourite. Another one is, you know, you can get a little camera like this, which is very much like a GoPro. Let me just turn it on. This is a DJI action cam, but it's pretty similar. And this can give you really great specialty shots. So I'll turn it on now and you can kind of see the angles that you can get.
Oh, that's so close.
There's your hand, here's the whole setup. TJ, give us a wave. You know, so you can kind of see like the potential of this, and it even comes with little things that you can quickly, you know, magnetically, you know, attach to your car, so you can chuck that on your vehicle and get a driving
Didn't you use this
shot.
when you went snorkeling up in the Whitsundays recently?
Yeah, I did actually, in the Barrier Reef, you know. So this is a, you know, you can put it around your neck and then attach it and swim along with it, go in and out of the water. So again, an action cam is a really good option, very affordable cameras. Now, you don't want to use it for your whole video, but having it every now and then come in to make your videos more visually dynamic is definitely an easy win.
So don't forget to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and then you're not going to miss any more episodes, because we have 3 more coming out in this series just for you.